But I remember laying in my bed, seeing this like an apparition. She was glowing. I could see, just like you would see with the blue, around her head. And I could see what looked like a halo. But I didn't question it. I wasn't scared. I felt complete love, and I just felt safe. And she showed me some things. Again, it's telepathic. Yes, Mother Mary is telepathic because that's how we all communicate, right? That's a normal way of communication. But she sent me this information in my head, and I could see it clearly. And all of a sudden, I raised my hands. I'm laying in my bed, and I raise my hands, and I see what looks like rainbow light shooting out of my hands. And then all of a sudden, it was this, what I call a claircognizant moment, a clear knowing that, these hands heal. And so, you know how you see these shows on TV where, and you think it's a bunch of crap, because sometimes it is, probably most of the time it is, and somebody goes in and their person claims to heal, and then they do this and that, and then the person throws their crutches or their walker and they walk out, and you're like, it's a bunch of horse shit. Well, I actually have really done that. And I can't explain how I know it. No, I guess I can. I'm a channel for energy, and I just have this knowing. Now, the thing is, am I supposed to heal everybody? Nope. I'll always know and get pulled to who I can help and who I can't. Because, look, sometimes somebody will have, for example, somebody could have foot pain, and they aren't really willing to get rid of the foot pain because there's a secondary gain to it. That could be back pain. Well, I could easily use my hands and remove that, but I know, like intuitively, I know it's not going to work because they're not ready to release whatever this is. And when I say secondary gain, sometimes it's attention. Sometimes people didn't have the nurturing and the attention they needed growing up, and they get it when they get older. And it could be coming through, it's negative attention's attention, right? But I'll know instinctively who I can help and who I can't. I know what colors light to use. I just know how to do it. It's bizarre. And what's called psychic surgery. Now, that sounds like bullshit to some people. But here's what's interesting and validating. A friend of mine sent me some documents. I don't know if y'all remember a couple of years ago when the CIA documents came out. Like in other words, a bunch of classified documents were made unclassified. Well, one of them was about quantum healing and psychic surgery. Like the own CIA says it's a real thing. I'm like, yes. Okay, yeah, I'm not crazy. I mean, I know I'm not crazy. And I'm not attached to anybody's opinion. But I knew how to move energy through my body, through my head, through my heart, and out of my hands to help remove different types of pain. And a lot of times it would be like big energy cords. Well, Mother Mary is the one that showed me that. Now, did she teach me? No. What she did was she reminded me. Now, I didn't do much with this information for a long time, for years in my life. I was just, I guess, I was kind of like everybody else. Oh, don't conjure spirits. Don't do this. Don't do that. Well, I've never conjured a spirit in my life. I've never done anything on an occult level. I've just had a knowing about things. But like I said, I didn't do much with this because I was working as a paramedic and perfectly happy doing that. And one day, one of my mom's best friends came to see me. This was after I started this is actually right in the beginning of when I started doing readings. And her son had committed suicide, and she was having a lot of lower back pain. Well, the hips hold emotions, right? A lot of people who have unhealed traumas, emotional traumas, you'll have lower back pain, oftentimes lower back pain, shoulder pain, or hip pain. And when she walked in my office, I said, your back's hurting? She said, yeah. And I said, will you let me work on you, like energetically? And I said, I'm not even going to physically touch you, but will you just come lay on this table? We had a massage table because I was working with a massage therapist. So will you just come lay on this table and just let me trust my intuition and try and get rid of that pain for you? And she said, yeah. So she lays down, and guess what I do? I didn't even think about it. So I go in my office. I had a smoothie that I hadn't even finished drinking. I pulled the straw out of it. I cut it in half. Like, even when I'm doing this, I'm laughing because I'm like, I just knew what to do. I cut it in half. I went and got 2 stones. I got a piece of black tourmaline and I got a rose quartz. Big enough, like a little bigger than the size of a quarter. So she's laying on her stomach. I go to her back. I lean over. I put the black tourmaline on my tongue in my mouth. I sucked through the straw. I went right over this section of her back that I knew was hurting, and I inhaled. And literally I could see it, feel it, all of it. I pulled this energy out of her back, in through the straw, and into the tourmaline, right? I'm not going to put it in my own body, but I held it in this black tourmaline, and then I removed the tourmaline from my mouth, and I put it outside next to the rose quartz. Like, in other words, to help cleanse it. And when I pulled it out with a straw, she kind of jumped and she went, ah. And I'm thinking, oh, crap. And then I'm like, nope, I saw it. It's gone. And so I said, I want you just to slowly get up, just move at your own pace. And I want you to move around and tell me how you feel. And she said, Stacey, the pain's gone. And I said, good. Well, 2 days later, I happened to meet this man. I wasn't even supposed to meet him. He had come in he was a shaman. He didn't speak any English. He had an interpreter with him, but he was doing some kind of clinic or something. I wasn't even supposed to see him, but I had happened to go to my office that day on a Saturday to go pick something up, and he happened to be there. And when I walked past him, I heard the interpreter say, ma'am, and I went back and he said, whatever, I don't even remember his name. I don't mean that disrespectfully because he had a profound effect on my life, but my chemo messed my brain up. But he wanted to talk to me, and so we ended up talking for a while, and I told him, that I hadn't been doing readings all that long, and I told him about the healing that I did, and he looked at the interpreter, and then they kind of stared at each other, and he said, where did you learn that? And I said, I didn't. I just knew how to do it. And then he was like, oh, come sit. And he said, those are ancient teachings. They don't even write about these teachings. These are the old medicine tribes, the medicine people that the knowledge was handed down from medicine person to medicine person. You couldn't just say, hey, I want to be a medicine person. It was like like a soul thing that your soul chose to do that. They could tell, he said they could tell who were the healers just by looking at them. They could tell from when they were a baby. But he said that the medicine people were revered. They were the healers, right? They're the ones that took care of everybody. But he kept saying it. They don't even teach that. That's not something they teach. And he was just surprised, obviously. I mean, I was too, because I wasn't expecting to suck something through a Smoothie King straw into some tourmaline and, And just so you know, I don't do that anymore. I only did that a few times. I think it was just an instinctual thing I did. I don't do it like that anymore. But I did that, and so then he was meeting up with another person that was coming in from out of the country, and they ended up wanting me to visit with them and meet with them that night, and so we did. And I just sat and talked through the interpreter. I learned a lot. I asked a lot of questions, and they said that in their country that a lot of times people are scared of mediums, and I've said probably because it crosses the line of necromancy, perhaps, like where somebody's doing black magic. He said, yeah. And I said, I don't touch black magic. I don't do that. I have this agreement with God that I only work for the good, and I will never do anything but. It's a deal breaker if not, which kind of sounds silly when I say it because it's my choice, right? So how is it a deal breaker? It's not like they're making me do it. A deal breaker, I guess, in my mind. But my point is, I really enjoyed my conversation with him. I learned a lot. I got to ask questions because, look, this man is, he's got wisdom, right? We live in the United States. We don't have a lot of people that have ancient wisdom. Trust me. We have the newest religion that half of it doesn't even make sense to me. The love part does, but most of it doesn't make sense to me. Just like I've always been confused with the way people say the only way to heaven is through Jesus, but how did people get to heaven before Jesus? Because this is a new religion. Christianity is a new religion, and there were plenty of people that died before it came along. So I never understood things like that. I still don't. What I do know is Jesus was a way shower, and he was way before his time. He was an excellent teacher, but what he came here to do, just like Princess Diana, was to show us how to live. It's kind of like he said when I saw him in that meditation years ago, I don't want you to worship me. Don't make yourself separate from me. I want you to be like me and love like me, live like me. Don't judge people. Don't cause harm. And that resonated with me more than anything. One of the top things I've ever heard. I felt it through my whole body, and I said, yes, now that resonates. That makes sense. Be good people. Be good humans. And it's so easy. It's a simple choice. It doesn't take any energy. It just make the choice to be nice. Being angry and all that, it makes me tired. And I don't want to be tired. But anyway, so I got off on the tangent of the healing part because that's all part of where I'm going with this abduction stuff. So I started asking questions like to these. Oh, let me go back. So before I explain that part, I was taken to one night. Okay, so how do I know people? I'm trying to think of the questions people ask me. Do you know you're going to be abducted? Do you get a heads up? Yeah, sometimes I do. And what I will see is what looks like a blue orb shoot through my living room, or I'll see it outside hovering. And I instinctively have always known that means go outside. I don't know why, but it's just when I see this, it looks like an orb, or it'll look like a ball of light with the tail, like a fiery tail behind it, which is the size of maybe half the size of a basketball, that kind of round object flying through. That means contact. So for whatever reason, I giggle about it because I'll go put my shoes on, like which tennis shoes I want to wear. I put my UFO alien t-shirt on just because I have a sense of humor and I think it makes them laugh. And I go outside and it's, how do I explain this? It's I really want to explain this for those of you who who haven't been through this, because I don't find that people explain it the way that I've experienced it. So maybe their experience is different. But how do I know? Does the door open? Do I step up into the steps? No, not usually. What usually will happen is there will either be a light that comes down. You can see it too sometimes in my security cameras. You can see it in pictures I take. But this light all of a sudden is illuminating part of my yard. And then all of a sudden it would be the equivalent of if you had kind of like an out-of-body experience, but no, that's not a good example. Kind of like when you're dazed. Like what just happened? Like, where am I? But kind of in a fog. That's a good way to explain it. Kind of foggy. So I go outside. Like I said, sometimes there's a light that comes down. I'm going to another recording.